Hey folks, once again we are the acoustic duo Lost Radio Rounders. I'm Tom, this is Michael. This is part 2 of our musical historical program looking at political campaign parodies from about the 1840s to the 1940s. Right now we're going to land in 1884. We're going to talk about Grover Cleveland, who's a very interesting fellow. Cleveland wasn't born in New York, but he had a lot of his political rise in New York State. He is the only man to have been president twice non-consecutively. Benjamin Harrison was in there in between. We'll talk about Benjamin Harrison in a little bit. But between the end of the Civil War and 1900, the Democrats did not have a lot of luck getting candidates elected. They got a couple elected to the presidency, but not a lot. And one of the phrases that was around back there was called waving the bloody shirt. And that just meant reminding the Democrats that an awful lot of them sided with the Confederacy in the Civil War. And for the Republicans, often after the war, just waving the bloody shirt was enough. But anyway, Cleveland, a couple other interesting things about Cleveland. He's the only president, as far as we know, who pulled the lever to hang a man, and that was when he was a sheriff out in Buffalo, New York. This song is going to mention his opponent in this particular race, which is a Republican by the name of James Blaine, and his running mate, Mr. Logan. And I think that's enough. The root melody for this song has been used for an awful lot of things, including O Tannenbaum, O Christmas Tree. A lot of colleges use this melody for their particular songs as well. But this one is called Good Democrats. Our country calls on us tonight, Democrats, good Democrats. Battle bravely for what's right. Democrats, good Democrats. 8 years ago we won the prize, but then we're robbed by tricks and lies. Freedom's foes in friends disguise. Democrats, good Democrats. Gallant Cleveland is the man. Democrats, good Democrats, who whipped the whole Blaine Logan clan. Democrats, good Democrats. He is a statesman, brave and true. He'll get the gray, he'll get the blue. He's just the man for me and you. Democrats, good Democrats. Yes, Cleveland is of all the best. Democrats, good Democrats. He'll win the East, he'll win the West. Democrats, good Democrats. No treason stains fair Cleveland's skirt. No rings have soiled his robes with dirt. They'll wave no more the bloody shirt. Democrats, good Democrats. They'll wave no more the bloody shirt. Democrats, good Democrats. That's one from 1884 for Grover Cleveland. Well, Cleveland, after first term, would be taken out by a fella who's a relative of someone we've already spoken about in part 1 of our story. It would be Benjamin Harrison. He would be the grandson, maybe the great son, I don't know, the grandson of William Henry Harrison, the 9th president, the Whig candidate, who did so little for so many in such a short period of time, 1 month of time. But anyway, this is once again is a case of a slogan getting turned around on a candidate. The slogan for Benjamin Harrison was, "Grandfather's hat fits Ben." Grandfather's hat fits Ben. It's supposed to make you think back to the log cabin hard cider campaign and those jolly old times. And now we're in 1888, and Benjamin Harrison will become the 23rd president. But this is an anti-Harrison song, and this is one of the mean ones out there. This is one of the mean ones. But anyway, the root melody for this was a song that was popular around the time of the Civil War. It was written by a fellow named Henry Clay Work, and it was called "My Grandfather's Clock." Again, not a lot of people singing that song these days, but it does have a root melody that was known in the time. So let's talk about Mr. Benjamin Harrison. His grandfather's hat is too big for his head, but Ben tries it on just the same. It fits him too quick, which oft times has been said with regard to his grandfather's fame. It was bought long ago, and it makes a pretty show in this jolly hard cider campaign. Oh, but it don't fit, not even a little bit, on Benjamin Harrison's brain. Not even a little bit on Benjamin Harrison's brain. That's mean, Michael.
That's mean.
That's a mean song that the Democrats came up with there. That is mean. All right. Well, we're going to go to another one of our issue songs. And this song, it probably dates from about 1884 or so. It has to do with the women's movement, women's suffrage, getting the right to vote. And it's called the Suffrage Flag. And surprise, surprise, it's based on a Civil War melody called the Bonnie Blue Flag. Now, double surprise here. The Bonnie Blue Flag was a big Confederate song.
Yes, indeed.
Bonnie Blue Flag was a big Confederate song. Although they did have a Union version that they made up.
Parodies.
Yes, parodies. And I will say at this time, although we're not doing it, one of the most used melodies throughout all of America's political history has been Yankee Doodle. But we all know Yankee Doodle, and even though Michael and I could do 23 versions of Yankee Doodle for 23 candidates, we're going to spare you, the viewer, and not do that.
Yay.
So this is the suffrage flag, and I'll hope I don't have my tongue trip over itself on this one, but anyway. In C, right? I'll go to the chorus. Hurrah, hurrah, for equal rights, hurrah, hurrah for the suffrage flag that bears the woman's star. Oh, there is a band of women, they to our manor born, emerging from the darkness past, looking toward the morn. Their mothers labored for a light that shone afar, and morn revealed the suffrage flag that bears a woman's star. Hurrah, hurrah, for equal rights, hurrah, hurrah for the suffrage flag that bears the woman's star. This band stands firm for all reforms, and war shall see its end. Bayonets and swords will rust, we'll use the brain of pen. Full of precious cargo, we ride the progress car, and nobly wave the suffrage flag that bears the woman's star. Hurrah, hurrah, for equal rights, hurrah, hurrah for the suffrage flag that bears the woman's star. Our ship of state for ages was guided by starlight, until the cluster in our flag almost dispelled the night. 'Tis freedom's day, our no light can mar. We'll add the light, the suffrage flag that bears the woman's star. Hurrah, hurrah, for equal rights, hurrah. Hurrah for the suffrage flag that bears the woman's star. And thus evolves the greatest triumph of our human race. Church and state, the home and school, law and love embrace. We shall have a better union. We'll march from near and far to glory 'neath the stars and stripes and gleaming woman's star. Hurrah, hurrah, for equal rights, hurrah. Hurrah for the suffrage flag that bears the woman's star. Hurrah, hurrah, for equal rights, hurrah. Hurrah for the suffrage flag that bears the woman's star. It's not huzzah this time, Michael.
It's hurrah.
It's hurrah. If you didn't see the first version of Politics and Patriots, huzzah is what we say to you. Okay, we're going to move on a bit. This is another song for a candidate who lost, but we're equal like that. We try and bring the winners and losers both in here. Now, our election here is McKinley and his vice president, New Yorker Theodore Roosevelt, and it's 1896, and McKinley's running against a fellow named William Jennings Bryan. And William Jennings Bryan is backed by sort of a looming figure in the background, you know, the man behind the candidate by the name of Mark Hanna. And he's mentioned in here. And this election, this 1896 election, Michael, was about monetary policy. And seeing as you and I don't know anything about monetary policy, we're musicians.
I don't even know a thing about money.
Yeah. So, anyway, the best I can explain it to you folks is that McKinley was for tying our economy more closely to gold, and Bryan was for tying the economy more closely to silver. And McKinley's viewpoint, I believe, would have helped people who had money and were investing, but Bryan's viewpoint would have helped people who were in debt and owed.
That's the musician part? The in debt?
Yes, he would have helped the farmers and the musicians, the people who were in debt, the farmers and the musicians. Anyway, the root melody of this one is one that a few more people are going to know than Bonnie Blue
That's true.
Flag. It is
But it's still Bonnie.
My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. Yes, it's still Bonnie, yes, said the Scotsman. Anyway, so here is We Want None of Thee. Our millionaires seem to be troubled, and they're opening their coffers, you see, and they're loading Mark Hanna with a boodle, but the people are bound to be free. Ah, there, stay there, O'Brien's the man who makes silver free. Ah, there, stay there, we're bound to elect him, you see. McKinley lives over in Canton, and he's backed by the East, don't you see? But the people will say in November, dear Billy, we want none of thee. So there, stay there, O'Brien's the man who makes silver free. There, nice song for a candidate who did not make the grade, unfortunately. But McKinley, as we know, McKinley, unfortunately, would be killed at the exposition out in Buffalo. And that would be how Theodore Roosevelt first rises to the presidency. But I have another section here, a little trivia, little factoids for people. This is presidents who were never elected. Our 10th president, John Tyler, we already mentioned that he came up to be president after the death of William Henry Harrison, the Whig Party candidate. Now, Millard Fillmore, our 13th president, also got to be president because a Whig Party candidate passed away. That would be Zachary Taylor. Maybe it's not a great wonder that the Whigs aren't around anymore. I don't know. By the way, I will say this. We may not be members of the WHIG party, but Michael and I are sure candidates for the WIG party. And you can turn the video off now because I'm sure you've had enough.
Scandalous.
Our 17th president, Andrew Johnson, as we know, came to be president because of assassination of Lincoln. 21st president, Chester A. Arthur, who was buried, by the way, in my hometown of Albany, New York, well, actually Manhattan, was rose to the presidency because of James Garfield being killed. And even though our program doesn't stretch this far into the future, our 38th president, Gerald Ford, got to be president because of the resignation of Nixon. Okay.
Was Nixon a Whig?
Nixon was not a Whig. He was not.
He could use one.
How about a song, Michael?
How about?
From the Socialist Party. Oh my heavens, from the Socialist Party. Because early in the 20th century, the Socialists come on the scene. And they had a habit of running the same guy over and over again. What was that fellow's name? Debs. Mr. Debs. Eugene Debs. And when Debs was campaigning against Warren Harding, Debs said that Harding utters pompous phrases that move over the landscape in search of an idea. Well, Debs gave good quotes, but he didn't do so much in the popular vote, nor much of anything in the electoral vote. But this is a Socialist Party song, and what you're going to notice about the Socialist Party that sets them apart from all the other gazillion parties we've already mentioned is that the Socialists not only had no problem in taking Christian hymns and turning them into their songs. This is one example. The root melody is a hymn called What a Friend We Have in Jesus. But you know, I think they sort of almost made a point of it. A lot of the songs about that were for the bums and things like that, the Socialist Party and the Workers' Party promoted, were based on hymns. The one I'm trying to think of is not coming to mind.
Hallelujah, I'm a
Hallelujah, I'm a bum. Okay, yeah, based on a hymn. Very, very true. So this is What a Weapon is the Ballad. Now, Michael and I actually do have a CD of the Politics and Patriots program, for those of you who remember what CDs are. But in the liner notes, I think what we basically say is that this song has two messages. There's one of which we agree with.
Right.
The first message is that it's important to vote. We agree. The second message of this song is that politicians can solve all your problems. I can't go along with that one. But anyway, this is What a Weapon is the Ballot. What a weapon is the ballot, all our wrongs and ills to cure. When oppression grows so heavy that we can no more endure, and oh, what ills we often suffer, and what injustice o'er us rolls. All because we do not carry every burden to the pole. And are you homeless, poor and wandering, although you've toiled throughout the dark and drear? And has your labor not relieved you? And are there landlords grasping tolls? You should never be discouraged, you, and write it at the polls. Mr. X. Justice o'er us rolls, and it's all because we do not carry every burden to the polls, every burden to the polls. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All righty. And again, you'll notice that the other parties felt it was kind of bad form to use hymns as political songs, but there you are. Oh, I shouldn't even taken the capo off.
There you go.
We got another issue song for you now, and this one has to do with Prohibition. Before the Prohibition movement, there was the Temperance Movement, and the difference between the two was that the Temperance Movement was really, at its heart, a social movement trying to win hearts and minds and convince people that they were going to be better off if either they stopped drinking or they drank less. And the Prohibition movement came out of the progressives because it was a sort of thing where they said, you know what, we think this is going to be good for America and this is our idea and we're going to go the political route instead of like trying to win the hearts and minds. We're going to go the political route. And so it's interesting to note that the temperance people sort of, for the most part, were sort of on one side of political ideology, and strangely enough, the Prohibition people were on another. Not that they didn't occasionally overlap. Our song here has as its roots melody a Stephen Foster song, My Old Kentucky Home, Good Night. And Foster had an awful lot of his songs used for political songs. Alf Landon used Oh Susanna, but we will not get to that. Foster, of course, was writing just before and partway through the Civil War, and then he passed away before he even hit 40. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, whole nother show.
It is a whole nother show. So we're going to do this Prohibition song called Then and Now, and I'm sure it has a good message, but it's really over the top. It's like a soap opera, but let's do it anyway. Oh, they sing sweet songs on the little village green at evening when labor is done, with no fear of want and no thought of ill or wrong. Oh, there's plenty here for everyone. But soon there comes to the pretty village square that drink band with a whiskey and beer, and those songs die out, and the drunken brawl begins, and there's pain and grief where once was cheer. Cast your vote. Cast your vote, my brother. Cast your vote today. The saloons must go with their poverty and woe. Cast your vote, my brother, while you may. Oh, the drink man hangs on the wall of his saloon, a writing most precious and rare. Oh, but safe is he with his license o'er his head, for it bears Columbia's seal so fair. Cast your vote, my brother, oh, cast your vote today. The saloons must go with their poverty and woe. Cast your vote, my brother, while you may. Oh, the time comes fast when beneath the tyrant realm, our nation will bow as a slave. Stand, patriots, now, for the cause of truth and right, and your colors fly as free men brave. Cast your vote. Cast your vote, my brother. Cast your vote today. The saloons must go with their poverty and woe. Cast your vote, my brother, while you may. Prohibition, 1919. Well, I'll tell you what. We have to conclude this program, and we will do so by using the fellow who managed to get himself elected 4 times. This is an interesting song in that in this particular run, Roosevelt's going against Alf Landon, and yet he still keeps on bringing up Herbert Hoover because he was so successful running against Hoover and
Worked the first couple
the
times.
Great Depression. So it's called That's Why I'm Voting for Roosevelt. Herbert Hoover offered us 2 chickens in each pot, but breadlines and depression were the only things we got. I lost my job, the banks blew up, and I was on the spot. That's why I'm voting for Roosevelt. Hooray, hooray, Herb Hoover's gone away. Hooray, hooray, I hope he's gonna stay. Oh, now I'm back to work, I get my 3 squares every day. That's why I'm voting for Roosevelt. My eyes are sore from searching for the grass on our main street. Honest men are smiling every time they chance to meet. For green grass cannot flourish neath the trap of busy feet. That's why I'm voting for Roosevelt. Hooray, hooray, we know it won't be long. Hooray, hooray, you'll hear them shout this song. From Portland, Maine to Frisco, there's 100 million strong, shouting and voting for Roosevelt. Oh, Wall Street sure is kicking, and they know they're on the pan. Franklin D. and Washington upset their little plan. Now the man on top is that once forgotten man. Oh, and that's why I'm voting for Roosevelt. Hooray, hooray, he banished all our fear. Hooray, hooray, our banks are in the clear. He brought us back prosperity, and he gave us back our beer. And that's why I'm voting for Roosevelt. Oh, and that's why I'm voting for Roosevelt. Politics and Patriots, LostRadioRounders.com is our website. We also have a YouTube, Lost Radio Rounders. I'm Tom Lindsay. This is Mr. Michael Eck. Thank you. Goodbye.